Hello there, I'm Azaria Tagaya, and Nightline starts now. The top stories. Prime Minister once again reiterates no more EPF withdrawals. And ASEAN to become centre of world economic growth. Good morning. Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim stressed on Monday that the government is firm in its stance of not allowing more withdrawals from the Employees Provident Fund, EPF. The Prime Minister made his point clear, anticipating requests for premature EPF withdrawals to be used by some to score political mileage at the upcoming 6 state elections.
Saya percaya ini akan terus dipermainkan dan menjadikan satu isu politik termasuk dalam pilihan raya negeri. 6 negeri akan datang, tapi ia tidak harus menggusarkan kita. Dalam keputusan dan kebijaksanaan, kita mesti mengambil keputusan yang benar dan tidak harus diheret untuk mengambil keputusan yang terpaksa hanya untuk memenuhi selera beberapa kerat manusia.
Datuk Seri Anwar was speaking at the launch of EPF's new headquarters in Kuasa Damansara. He said EPF withdrawals were previously allowed during the COVID-19 pandemic, but it was different now and Malaysians are allowed to work. Some individuals, according to Datuk Seri Anwar, have some issues to deal with, and withdrawing the EPF isn't the only way out. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also the Finance Minister, urged EPF to increase its domestic direct investment to 70% this year, compared with 64% last year. He said this was necessary to benefit EPF contributors.
Saya mahu untuk tahun 2023 ini cari jalan supaya pelaburan dalam negeri itu mencecah sekurang-kurangnya 70%. Melihat kepada keperluan negara sekarang. Dan dalam beberapa pelaburan itu mengambil kira keperluan sebahagian rakyat. Ya, maknanya pelaburan itu betul ada yang strategik, bukan saja industri tetapi infrastruktur yang strategik.
Hence, the Prime Minister said he wants the investment panel of the fund to be professional and not be influenced by their superiors so that the benefits can be enjoyed by the people. The EPF, which has assets worth 1 trillion ringgit, was also advised to manage its affairs with good governance and integrity. While the idea of using the EPF fund for domestic investment is commendable, the selection of sectors and investments must be carefully looked into to ensure that the best returns are achieved.
I think it's certainly a good idea to use EPF funds and divert it to domestic investment that will help increase aggregate demand in the country, and that might be a useful mechanism to ward off the kind of downward slope we might likely go through or have to go through with the rest of the global economy seeing a meltdown or a slowdown. I also think it's it's commendable that certain kinds of sectors have been highlighted by the Prime Minister, for instance, youth, startups, the agriculture sector. But on the other hand, I'm not terribly sure if these are the sectors that would give the best yield. They would, of course, be these sectors, I suppose that there's a particular reason why they have been mentioned. I suppose the intention is to help spur the growth of these sectors. However, the return might not necessarily be the best.
The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, needs to work together to become the centre of economic growth in the world. Indonesian President, who is also the chairman of ASEAN, Joko Widodo, said this area has great potential with the strength of 650 million people. According to Jokowi, that opportunity needs to be strengthened by focusing especially on infrastructure development, food safety and digital transformation.
Pertumbuhan ekonomi kita, ekonomi growth kita selalu di atas rata-rata dunia. Ini tinggi sih, paling tinggi kawasan kita ini, pertumbuhan ekonominya. Ini potensi ini harus menjadi kekuatan ASEAN. Sehingga program utama ASEAN yaitu pembangunan infrastruktur harus baik, yang berkaitan dengan percepatan infrastruktur di Indo-Pasifik harus baik, baik yang berkaitan dengan pelabuhan, airport, jalan, semuanya, pembangkit listrik harus baik.
In addition, health issues are also important to ASEAN. According to Jokowi, taking lessons from the COVID-19 pandemic, he emphasized the importance of having an emergency fund. He said the fund is to help ASEAN member countries in dealing with sudden disease attacks.
Kita telah membentuk yang namanya ASEAN Response Fund, yang nanti akan dana itu akan dikumpulkan dari seluruh anggota ASEAN, dan ini penting sekali sehingga pada saat terjadi pandemi kita tidak perlu bingung karena dananya ada, langsung dibelanjakan untuk apa? Misalnya untuk vaksin, misalnya untuk obat, misalnya untuk alat-alat kesehatan, sudah siap.
He said this in an exclusive interview with Media Prima in Indonesia last Friday. Indonesia, as ASEAN chair, will host the 42nd ASEAN Summit next week, which will take place on May 10th and 11th in Labuan Bajo, East Nusa Tenggara. Among the issues that will be discussed at the summit include the crisis in Myanmar and Timor-Leste's full membership in ASEAN. Meanwhile, Jokowi also stressed that ASEAN will not be anyone's proxy, with the regional grouping maintaining it would continue emphasizing adherence to international law and pursuing a policy of equality and mutual respect. The Indonesian president said the organization is seeking a more personal approach in strengthening not just government-to-government relations, but also society to society. Jokowi was responding to accusations that China was controlling ASEAN by proxy, given that the global superpower is ASEAN's largest trading partner.
Kita ingin ASEAN itu tidak boleh jadi proksi siapapun. Tidak boleh jadi proksi negara manapun. Jadi ASEAN bersifat terbuka, bersifat inklusif. Sehingga yang kita ingin berikan prioritas adalah menjamin kerjasama ekonomi dengan semuanya, dengan semua pihak, dan berdasarkan asas kesetaraan, saling menghormati, dan saling menguntungkan. Itu yang terus akan saya tekankan.
He also addressed how ASEAN planned to tackle the claims by China to large swathes of the South China Sea, as well as the latter's maritime disputes with the United States. Jokowi stressed that the key is adherence to international law, to the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, UNCLOS 1982. He said ASEAN's position is clear in that we want the South China Sea to become an area that is stable, peaceful and prosperous. The government plans to develop a national mineral policy within 3 months in accordance with the current standard operating procedures for rare earth mining. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Fadillah Yusof said the policy is aimed at the responsible management of the nation's minerals, balancing between the needs of the economic sector and national revenue, while ensuring that environmental sustainability is safeguarded. Speaking to reporters after chairing the second National Mineral Council meeting in Putrajaya on Monday, Datuk Sri Fadillah noted that the majority of illegal mining currently involved the extraction of non-radioactive rare earth elements, mostly in Kedah. Datuk Sri Fadillah also noted his ministry had developed a temporary SOP for mining operations in Perak.
Kalau kita melihat pada potensi mineral ini untuk menyumbang kepada pendapatan negara kita, KDNK, ianya agak besar sebab salah satu kajian yang dibuat reserve yang kita ada lebih kurang 4 trilion dari segi nilai duitnya. Cuma dari segi usaha itu kita kena buat dengan teratur, tersusun supaya keperluan ekonomi itu tidak akan menjejaskan social well-being rakyat kita dan juga alam sekitar kita.
On other matters discussed in the meeting, he said they included a holistic mineral industry development through the establishment of an entire mineral value chain covering the upstream, midstream and downstream sectors. Issues related to illegal mining by irresponsible parties were also raised. He said the federal government is in the process of forming a task force to resolve the problem of illegal mining, which will involve parties from various technical departments and enforcement agencies at the federal and state levels. The Transport Ministry has allayed concerns that allowing the driving licence to be renewed for up to 10 years could lead to challenges in suspending reckless motorists. Its Minister Anthony Loke said the Road Transport Department RTD has its own mechanism and system to track down offenders and take action on them, including suspending or revoking their licences.
Itu tak ada kesan kalau mereka dah ada kesalahan, kalau katakan ada kes kemalangan dan sebagainya, hukuman kita nak gantung lesen mereka, kita gantung mereka. Tetap akan digantung. Bukan maksudnya dia dah bayar, dia tak akan dikena gantung.
Loke was met by the media after paying a visit to the Seremban JPJ office on Monday. During the visit, the Transport Minister also took the opportunity to renew his driving licence for 10 years. Previously, a driving licence could only be renewed for 1 to 5 years. Under the new policy, anyone who renews their driving licence for 10 years will enjoy a 10% discount on the renewal fee. When we come back, dozens dead in gold mine fire. Stay with us. I'm sure you... Welcome back. On to the foreign news now. At least 27 workers have died in a fire at a gold mine in a remote area of southern Peru on Sunday, making it one of the worst mining tragedies in the South American country's recent history. Police and the Public Prosecutor's Office confirmed that the fire, which engulfed a tunnel inside the La Esperanza 1 mine in the Arequipa region, was caused by a short circuit. It was earlier reported that the blaze started after an explosion at the mine in the remote Condesuyos province, a 10-hour drive from the city of Arequipa, the regional capital. So far, there have been no reports of survivors nor confirmation about how many people were in the mine at the time of the fire. The incident is one of the worst mining accidents in recent years in Peru, the largest gold producer in Latin America. Over in India, at least 22 people, many of them children, were killed after a double-decker tourist boat capsized in Kerala on Sunday evening. It was reported that the casualties included women and children, and rescuers found at least 8 other people with injuries, 4 of them in critical condition. The boat, mostly filled with tourists, was reportedly carrying double its capacity when it overturned at about 7 p.m. local time near the estuary of Purapuza River in the coastal town of Tanur. Rescue operations are still ongoing as teams expect to recover more bodies from inside the boat after pulling it ashore from the muddy waters. Boat accidents are not unusual in Kerala and are often due to vessels carrying too many passengers due to lax regulations and implementation of safety rules. In the U.S., at least 8 people were killed while several others were injured on Sunday when an SUV ran a red light and plowed into a group waiting at a bus stop outside a migrant aid center in Texas. Authorities said the gray sports utility vehicle went through a red light and ran over several people at about 8:30 a.m. near Ozanam Center in Brownsville, a shelter for migrants and homeless. 9 others were injured in the crash, some of them critically. Law enforcement, meanwhile, said they were treating
the incident as an accident for now, though a witness said the driver had yelled insults at the group before accelerating. The male driver, in the meantime, has been arrested and was charged with reckless driving. Back with us on Nightline, some sports news now. Malaysia suffered a 1-2 loss to Vietnam in a crucial Group B match and were eliminated in the SEA Games football semi-finals on Monday. The national team fell behind in the 7th minute from an own goal by defender Ahmad Zikri Khalili, while Nguyen Van Tung added salt to injury with a powerful header in the 32nd minute. Malaysia pulled one back through midfielder Aiman Afif Afizul in the 43rd minute. Malaysia dominated most of the time in the second half but failed to find the back of the net. The team's momentum was later affected when they were forced to play with just 9 men after Muhammad Safwan Mazlan and Najmuddin Kamal Akmal were sent off in the 80th and 83rd minute. Harimau Muda have collected only 3 points from 3 matches and will play Singapore in the final group match on Thursday. Meanwhile, the Malaysian contingent continued to rake in the gold medals on Monday.
The latest came from the diving competition after Kimberly Bong bagged the gold medal in the women's 3-meter springboard event. The 20-year-old Sarawakian collected 276.30 points in a total of 5 dives to beat 8 other divers. Malaysia also took the bronze through Ong Ke Ying, who finished with 248.70 points. Meanwhile, the sweltering heat reaching nearly 40 degrees Celsius did not stop national women's hammer thrower Grace Wong from achieving double success. Besides defending the gold medal, Grace also broke the game's record of 59.24 meters that she herself had set in the 2017 edition in Kuala Lumpur, with a distance of 61.87 meters in her 4th throw on the first day of athletics at the Morodok Techo National Stadium. The success of the athlete from Sarikei was also celebrated by her compatriot Nurul Hidayah Lokman, who clinched bronze with a throw of 49.61 meters. The sailing squad achieved their target of 2 gold medals on the final day of competition at the Sihanoukville Boulevard. The 2 gold medals were contributed by Hafizin Mansour from the RS-X class and Izri Hafizi Fitri Azri from the RS-1 class after having dominated the race from day 1 of the competition on Tuesday. It was the first time for Malaysia winning gold medals in these events.
2 men charged for killing businessman. The details when we return. Thanks for staying with us. Malaysia returns to the London Craft Week in London, leveraging the opportunity to tell stories of its people through the language of craft by showcasing the nation's heritage work from various ethnic groups. The exhibition, which kicked off on Saturday, ends on May 14th. From London, our correspondent Haliza Hashim has this story.
The second edition of the Malaysian Craft Exhibition, held at the Malaysian High Commission in Belgrade Square, includes live demonstration and workshops. Among others, wood carving, textile gilding or textile decorating technique, basketry, mat weaving, songket, embroidery and tribal beading. Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria, who leads the Malaysian delegation, said the products on display also include telepok Terengganu and songket Terengganu, weaving products by the Semelai people of Pahang, Mahmari weaving heritage and ancestor sculptures from Selangor. Highlights from Sabah are anyaman tika and anyaman ribu-ribu, while Sarawak's weaving crafts include anyaman bergerang, ikat iban Sarawak, anyaman penan and keringkam embroidery.
It has to be preserved. To me, like anything, tenun, batik tak no problem lah. I think everybody conteng satu pun jadi batik dah. But where songket, where it is time consuming, tu yang anak-anak muda tak nak belajar. Betul tidak? Nak menyongket tu bongkok, nak menenun. So this is where prison comes in. Prison is the one that's giving us hope to preserve all this, to make sure that there's the supply is there for the demand. There's a lot of demand. Dan saya telepok juga begitu. Telepok memang dying. Ada berapa orang je, and people don't wear telepok. So this is where I mean tenun Pahang. I think we're going to, the telepok will be one of ours to get in as well.
But now there's a lot of research being undertaken to improve our motif and our design. And Raja Premier Sergei has given a lot of ideas to incorporate our design in we have set up a special vehicle called Centec. And Centec is working together with our artisans, the indigenous artists, to preserve our heritage in terms of the craftsmanship. And that will be done systematically. And what is important is to want to reach out to the market. And that's why we have this special Centec commercial.
Tunku Azizah, who is also the patron of the Royal Weaves Foundation of Pahang, said 7 craftsmen have been flown in to showcase their arts of craft at this exhibition. Last year, the Royal Pahang Weaves Heritage Textile Exhibition at the same venue successfully attracted more than 2,000 visitors. Earlier on Monday, the Abstract Nature exhibition received several royal visits. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah, King of Bhutan Jigme Keza Namgyal Wangchuk, and the Queen of Bhutan Jatsun Pima, Sultan of Terengganu Sultan Mizan Zainal Abidin, and Sultanah of Terengganu Sultanah Nur Zahira. efforts and dedication by Raja Permaisuri Agong to elevate and promote Malaysians' heritage craft to the world continue to receive support and praises from everyone. Participating in London Craft Week remains one of the best platforms. Halisa Hashim, TV3, London.
Former Malaysia Automotive Robotics and IoT Institute MARI Chief Executive Officer Datuk Madani Sahari has been hauled to court for a bribery-related case again. He claimed trial to the charge before Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court Judge Suzana Hussein on Monday. The 56-year-old accused pleaded not guilty to one count of soliciting a 5 million ringgit bribe from P. Kuhan Arunasalam as an incentive to help the latter to get an employee's placement and training program worth 24 million ringgit. He was accused of allegedly committing the offence at Solaris Dutamas between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. in the month of May 2 years ago. He was charged under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act 2009, which carries a maximum 20 years imprisonment and a fine of not less than 5 times the amount of the bribe received, or 10,000 ringgit upon conviction. Datuk Madani was previously charged with receiving a 5 million ringgit bribe from Kenny Kau Chuan Wah, who had acted on Kuhan's instructions. The court then ordered the same amount of the bail imposed on the accused for the charge he's currently facing in Shah Alam to be tied to his current case. The judge also fixed June 9th for mention of the case. In Selangor, a ride-hailing driver and an unemployed man were charged at the Kajang Magistrates Court on Monday with the murder of a businessman whose body was found stuffed inside a bag last month. Both were charged with a common intention to commit murder under Section 302, read with Section 34 of the Penal Code, and faced the death penalty if convicted. 41-year-old Devan Jaya Simhan and 22-year-old Hariharan Silvam confirmed that they understood the charge after it was read out by an interpreter before Magistrate Nik Siti Norazlini Nik Muhammad Faiz. No plea was recorded from either accused as the case falls within the jurisdiction of the High Court. They are alleged to have killed 41-year-old Muhammad Osman Chan Bacha after a failed extortion attempt. The murder is alleged to have taken place near a steep cliff along Jalan Sungai Tekali in Hulu Langat between 12:45 p.m. on April 26th and 6:40 p.m. on April 28th. Reports had stated that the victim was the owner of a chain of clinics. The magistrate fixed June 19th for next mention of the case. Now, as we wrap up Nightline this time around, let's take a look as Windsor Castle transformed into a concert venue on Sunday, with some of the biggest names in music performing to celebrate the coronation of Britain's King Charles III. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you so much for watching and have a great week ahead.